Welcome to the sensitization and demonstration session on the Certificate of Origin service on TTBizlink's enhanced system. Today, we are joined by Ms. Racine Ramsing and Ms. Alison Badesi, both from the TTBizlink unit under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Ms. Badesi is the Manager, Stakeholder Adoption, Single Electronic Window, while the facilitator, today is Ms. Racine Ramsing, who is the Single Electronic Window Specialist with responsibility for administering the Certificate of Origin service on the TTBizlink enhanced system as it relates to the issuance of certificates that fall under preferential and non-preferential agreements. Racine is a graduate of the University of the West Indies and a valued member of the TTBizlink unit. Racine interfaces with Export TT Limited and the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce on a regular basis and is focused on providing excellence in service. To improve the quality of the online session, we are asking participants to ensure that your mic be placed on mute. We are also asking that your videos be left on, particularly during the question and answer segment, so that we don't seem too far away from each other and the facilitators know who they are speaking with. Questions will be addressed at the end of the session, so feel free to place them in the chat box addressed to everyone, or during the question and answer segment, you can reuse the raise hand icon and you will be unmuted accordingly. I will now pass the mic to Alison to deliver some brief remarks before passing you on to Racine. Have a great session, everyone.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Ms. Phillip, for that wonderful introduction. On behalf of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and in particular, the TTBizlink unit, we are very happy to join Export TT Limited and your membership, who are also clients of TTBizlink, to have this sensitization session. Just to say, in addition to Racine and myself, I also have one other colleague here with me, that is Mrs. Danielle Lemesey, and she's the senior person attached to the TTBizlink help desk, because some of the members who are here may have actually interfaced with her previously. Just to give a brief background before handing over to Racine, TTBizlink was launched in 2012 and was an initiative to enhance the way that business is conducted in Trinidad and Tobago. It seeks to make doing business easier. Since the launch, Certificates of Origin was in fact one of the very first services to be on the platform. Since that time, of course, we've had several other services on the platform. But over that period of time, we have been gathering feedback from both approvers and users in terms of refinements that could have been made to the system, recommendations to enhance features and functionalities, and of course, usability. Arising out of that was this consultancy, which was to design and implement an enhanced TTBizlink system. It is part of an IDB approved loan and one of the many consultancies that contribute towards strengthening and enhancing the SEW system itself. But of course, this particular consultancy is very dear to the unit because it deals specifically with the platform itself, with our approvers, and of course, our valued stakeholders. We recognize that since the launch of the enhanced platform on the 18th of July, that there have been some challenges. As is expected with any new system, there would be teething issues. We have been doing our best to work with the vendor to correct all of the issues that have arisen to ensure that persons can get their certificates of origin, and of course to further enhance and refine the flow. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll continue to do so, but we've made significant headway since the launch of the platform. In that respect, even with certificates of origin, we know that there are a couple of issues that are still outstanding, and we will work assiduously to ensure that those issues are resolved. What we want to do this morning is that to give a demo of the system. Racine will also do a short presentation before to sort of contextualize what that demo will be, so that persons can become more familiar with the new application process. This will also be supported, of course, by materials that we have on the site that persons can use in terms of comprehensive step-by-step detailed user manuals that persons can access to see how to actually use the new Certificate of Origin service. And of course, our help desk is always accessible. It's Monday to Friday, but even when emails come over the weekend, some of the staff would actually attend to them. So we encourage you to continue to be in touch with us so that we get your feedback on things that are working and things that we may need to work a little bit harder on. So thank you very much for joining with us. I'll hand you over to Racine, who will start with a presentation and then follow up with them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alison. Good morning, everyone. So we will start with a short presentation and with it as an overview of the Certificate of Origin module, and then we'll go into the demonstration. So as we may know, the Certificate of Origin e-service is broken up into two different types of applications where you can apply for a Certificate of Origin for preferential markets, or you can apply for non-preferential markets, where the preferential market certificate is processed by Export TT and the non-preferential market is processed by the Chamber of Commerce. But today we'll be focusing on the preferential market application. So some new features that you guys may have noticed on the Certificate of Origin e-service is that there's no longer the need for the broker, exporter, and manufacturer roles. It's now the application can be completed based off the permissions that the users may have. So this is replaced by the create permission and the submit permission. We also have, for both preferential and non-preferential markets, we have online, offline, and credit benefit payments. The applicants also have the ability to generate and download their approved, agency signed and stamped e-certificate of origin, well, where applicable. And we no longer have the need for the users, the applicants, to constantly upload a signature. The signature is now applied to the user's account, to the authorized signatory's account, and they would sign by just checking a checkbox. So the previous process for the Certificate of Origin was that the user from a broker would create the application, and this would then be forwarded to the exporter. So in this case, we just have some examples that Bob Broker will create the application and forward to the exporter, Ella Exporter, where she would verify and forward to the manufacturer, who is Mason Manufacturer, where they would approve and sign and forward to Export TT. This is now replaced by permissions within an organization and a user. So one single user can belong to multiple organizations, and the user has the ability to alternate between the companies, the organizations, to complete different application types. Each company or organization has a company owner, and they assign permissions to their users to do different parts of the application, different stages of the application, or even do different application types. So, for example, a company, an organization would need two permissions or two jobs to complete a Certificate of Origin application. These jobs are the COO applicant broker job and the COO applicant job. So essentially, the COO applicant broker job is what we call the creator, and this person would start the application, complete all the fields of the application, or use an XML upload to complete the necessary fields like the CO details, the exporter details, producer manufacturer details, the items, up all the way to the notification details, and basically prepare the application for submission. The person with the COO applicant job is what we call the submitter. This person would finalize the document, review the document, and sign the application for submission to Export TT. This person who has the COO applicant job will be able to do everything that the person who the COO applicant broker job can do, except they are the person who can sign the application. Or in other words, the authorized signatory should have this job. Managing your organizations for eCOO applications. So if from what we're accustomed with, the first stage of the application is with the broker, then it goes to an exporter, and it goes to a manufacturer to submit to Export TT. This is more refined, and it works as though you have to add a broker and a manufacturer or the authorized signatory to your organization to complete the COO application. So therefore, the COO application must be created under the exporting company's organization. And if you have a broker completing the application on your behalf, you can add them to your organization with the COO applicant broker job so that they can prepare the application for submission. And if your authorized signatory does not belong to the exporting company, they can also be added to the organization with the submit permission, which is the COO applicant job, to complete the exporter signature section. So the process for the ECO application for preferential markets is that the creator would create the application by completing all the fields. This would the application would move from draft to pending submission. And then the submitter would verify this application in pending submission and sign the application. Export TT now requires a processing fee, so the payment is required before it can be transmitted to Export TT. So the person who's completing the payment will then make the payments via online, offline, or drawdown. If it's an offline payment, Export TT would then have to verify and confirm that the payment is valid. Once it's valid, then it goes to Export. It stays within Export TT to process the application. And once it's approved, the applicant has the ability to view and download the approval document. So today we're just going to cover a few things in the demonstration. We're going to do logging into TTBizlink, looking at our dashboards, switching our organizations, creating CO applications, submitting CO applications, doing different types of payment, which is offline, online, and drawdown, responding to a query, searching for applications, downloading the CO, and uploading the signature. So I'm just going to switch over to the platform to do the demonstration. Okay, good. So you can start logging into TTBizlink from the Trade and Business Information portal and click log into e-services. Then you'll be taken to the login page. So you can use your credentials from the old platform and sign in here. If you forgot your password, you can use this feature where it would ask you some security questions and you'd be given, you'd receive an email to reset your password. So we click sign in. And when you sign in to TTBizlink, you will be taken to your default organization's dashboard. So in this case, Ella Exporter, which is the user that I'm using, would be taken to their default organization, which is their individual organization, Ella Exporter. You can see what organization you're logged in from the top here. You can see your user. So my user is Ella Exporter, and the organization that I'm logged into is Ella Exporter, so the individual organization. That means that any application that I would have created under my personal organization would be available under this dashboard or via the search. However, this user does not use her personal organization to complete applications on TTBizlink. She uses her company's organization. So in order to complete applications on behalf of a company, she would be required to switch her organization. To do so, you click this drop down here and you click switch organization, where you would see a list of organizations that you are members of. So you can see that your current organization is Ella Exporter, but I would like to switch to my business organization, which is Exporting Company. To switch my organization, I'll just click this arrow, this double arrow, and then I'll be taken to the dashboard for Exporting Company. That means that all the applications available under my dashboard were created by Exporting Company. So the dashboard here contains, for all applicants, contains applications, payment, organization task, and outbox task. It should be noted that each member of the organization would have the same dashboard once they switch to that organization. That means that all applications would be able to be, well, the list would be available for all the members of the organization. However, only users with specific permissions and jobs can enter the application, can view the application or act on the application. So for CO in particular, only members with the CO jobs would be able to view the applications and edit the applications. Right, so just going through the buckets of the dashboard. So we refer to these circles as the buckets. Under applications drafts, these are any application for all e-services that TTBizlink offers that was created by any member of exporting company. In queried, we have all applications that have been queried by the agency. So you would see stuff like, you would see applications that would be processing status of queried. In the payment bucket, these are any applications that require payment at this point of time. So this would be applications that are pending payment, payment query. So if your offline payment was submitted and there was an issue with it and it has been queried by the agency, you can access those applications in the payment bucket. And for the case of goods declaration, pending fee would also be in this bucket. Prepayment deals with applications for prepaying for an e-service. So this would contain all submitted and approved prepayment applications here. Organization task would have any application that is now pending an action by the organization. So that would be applications like draft and pending submission and queried. Pending submission applications are applications that were created by a user, but has not yet been submitted to the agency. So in the case of CO, if a broker creates an application for you, but the authorized signatory still has to sign on the application, the authorized signatory can enter this bucket to sign the applications that would be related to that. For notification, it's a bucket that contains or a list of all the emails that were sent to members of that organization with regards to email notifications. So if you would receive email notifications for different stages of the applications, and this just gives a status of that email, whether it was sent or if for some reason it fails to send. Outbox task under the submitted bucket, those are any application that has been submitted to an agency. So if you responded to a query and it moves to query responded, then that application will be there. If you prepare an application and it has been submitted to the agency, it'll be there. Or in the case of goods declaration, if it's in pending decision or pending fee confirmation, it'll be there. Right, so now moving on to creating a CO application. As I mentioned before, the application must be created under the exporting company's organization. So once you're in the correct organization, you have switched to the exporting company's organization, then you can click apply. You can go to e-services, then certificate of origin for preferential markets. And then you'll be taken to this page. This page gives you a brief overview of the e-service that you're applying for. So it has a description, some useful links, the agency details, the fees that are applicable to the e-service, the types of payments, and the way that you can obtain your approval document. The other step-by-step procedures, there's a link here that takes you to the Trade and Business Information Portal, which would give you some information about the e-service that you're applying for. And under how to apply on TTBizlink, there's a link that would take you to a page called Scribe How, which lists all the front-end user manuals that are applicable to the e-service that you're applying for. So it will give you all the user manuals that were prepared for the certificate of origin for preferential markets. Once you've read this, you can click apply. And you'll be taken to the application page. So at the top of the application, this is what we call the reference header, where it gives you a brief overview of the status of the applications, the processing status, the payment status, the submission date, the reference number, the type of applications, and who the application is currently assigned to. So in sometimes this assigned to would have a user, say not myself, another user, and then you would notice that you would not be able to act on any part of the application. That means that the application is open and locked to someone else in the organization. Therefore, you won't be able to conduct anything, since it's two persons should not be in the application at one time. So this section here, the navigation pane, can allow you to skip to a specific section, or you can scroll through the application. So starting the application, we can use this tool to find a manufacturer. And you can search by either company name or company number. Then I'll select my trade agreement and click save. Then this exporter details would be the details of the organization that I'm currently logged in with. So since I'm logged in with exporting company, the details of that organization will be listed here. If I were logged in with my personal organization, my details, my personal name and address and mobile number and email would be listed here. So moving on to consignee details. These are details to be filled out by the applicant. So we'll just put in some data here. Importer name, you can complete this, or you can check the same as consignee button. For producer manufacturer, the manufacturer details are also not editable because it's based off the manufacturer that you would have selected initially. Then we have some other details about the transport that you can fill. Click save. And then we have the item details. So we can click add to add an item, you click add and complete the fields as necessary. To find the HS code for the manufacturer that you've selected, you click the same lookup and you can either enter the HS code or the description, click lookup, and then you will have a list of the items that are registered for this manufacturer. In the case of this manufacturer, they would like to change the description of goods. So this description of goods is what is printed on the certificate itself. Since I don't want this description printed, I'll just edit it. And I can't change this HS description. Origin code, then we just enter some other values, the value added, the gross weight, or the quantity. Also to note, the unit of measurement that you select is relative to the gross weight or quantity that you've entered. So in my case, I've entered 123 bundles. For FOB value, invoice number, and the date of the invoice. Then I click save. If I'd like to edit this item, I can use this icon, the pen icon at the end of the table, and I'll be taken back to the table above where I can edit as necessary. Then click update. If I'd like to delete an item, I can use this checkbox and click delete, where I would be asked to confirm if I would like to delete the item. Then moving on to supporting documents. To add any documents to your application, you'd first have to enter a document name. So I'm just going to put invoice and then click files here to click files here or click to upload. This is to locate the files. I can also drag and drop the attachments into this box once I've entered a description. Contact details is the details of the user that you are currently using. So since I'm logged in with LA Exporters information will be displayed under contact details. Notification details. This is a section that you can use to enter any email address that you would like to receive emails for. So if I enter my personal email address, then I would be receiving email notifications for any activity on this application. So if it's queried or if it's approved, those email addresses entered here would receive notifications. You can also use the same as contact details button and it will pull from the section above. So once you click save and you will be taken to the summary section where it gives you an overview of all the information that you've entered. And you can verify from here. And once you're ready with it, you can click complete application. Right. Complete application would now move the application from a draft status into pending submission. As I mentioned before, pending submission means that the application has been created and completed, all the fields have been completed. However, it has not yet been, it's not yet ready for submission because the two more sections, exporter details and terms and conditions, still needs to be completed. This section can only be completed with the user for the user with the submit permission or the authorized signatory. So if I am the authorized signatory and I have to complete this section, I will have to click I am the authorized signatory, declaring that I am in fact the person who is authorized to sign this application. So by checking this box, my signature will be pulled from my account settings, and that would be me signing the application. Then I'll have to complete my terms and conditions and click complete and submit. So now the application is pending payment, since payment is required before it can be submitted. To complete your payment, you can go to the payment details section and you'd be displayed with the amount to be paid, and you can select a payment mode. For Export TT, we have, you can complete a payment by offline payment, an online payment, or via drawdown. So if I click offline payment, then I will have to enter the receipt number that I would have received, whether it was through wire transfer or through cash payment or bank transfer, and then upload the receipt here and click save and submit. Once I complete the offline payments, the application is routed to Export TT for them to confirm the offline payment. If there's an issue with the information that I've entered, Export TT will query the offline payment, where you would have the opportunity to revise your payment submission. If I click online, at this point of time, the online payments facility is not working correctly, as this is the test environment. So it'll be a little different from what you would see on the production environment. But the online payment mode right now is not functioning exactly like how it looks here. So you'd have to click pay and you'd be taken to a payment portal to conduct the payment. However, right now we're having a workaround with a Figaro online payment. So when you click online, Figaro online on TTBizlink, you will be provided with a link where you can conduct your online payment basically offline, not on TTBizlink. And then you would have to download your receipt and download your receipt from a Figaro and submit the Figaro receipt as an offline payment. We also have the option of drawdown. So as you would see here, when I select drawdown, my balance is 0. That means that I have no money in my drawdown account because I have not yet made a prepayment application, or I have exhausted all the funds in my balance to Export TT. So we'll just select offline for now. Upload the image and click save and submit. So now the application has been submitted and the payment status is offline payment to confirm. So now the application will be routed to Export TT for their processing. And once it's processed, once it's approved, then you would be able to view the approval document. So if you've gotten an approved application, you would receive an email indicating that your application has been approved, and to log into TTBizlink to view and download your approval document. To do so, you can click search on the left menu here. And this search allows you to search for any application in the system for this organization. So the simple search allows you to search by reference number. You can search by the entire reference number, the entire 13-digit number, or you can search by the last few digits to return any application with those digits in it. You can also utilize the advanced search, which gives you more filters that you can search by. So you can still search by the reference number, or you can select an application type. So let's select Certificate of Origin for Preferential Markets. And then you'd have more options to search by. So you can narrow down your search by the processing status. You can see all your queried applications for Certificate of Origin for Preferential Markets. You can also narrow down by the submission date, the type of trade agreement, and the the manufacturer, the country of destination. And click search, and you would have all your queried applications displayed there. If you just want to see all your approved applications, you can select your status type as processing and click approved. And then you'll have any type of approved application for this organization. So now we'd like to view the approval document for application 895. So we just type in 895, search, and we would get our results would be any application with those figures in. So this is a certificate of origin for preferential markets. We click on the reference number. And then here we'd have that the processing status is approved and it was paid offline. So we can click these 3 dots on this horizontal bar, which we call the page options bar, to get the option to view the approval document. Once it's it will open in a new tab and contain the stamp and the signature of the exportee as well as yourself. However, it should be noted that for exportee, this feature is only available for CARICOM certificates of origin. If it were any application for the trade agreements related to Cuba, Costa Rica, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Panama, those are still manually signed by exportee, so it would be required to be collected. So you can click exit to leave this application and we'd be taken back to the dashboard. So now let's do responding to a query. If I had to respond to a query on a specific application, I would have first received an email indicating that my application was queried. And then I can log into TTBizlink and either search for the application number using the search on the left menu, or I can enter I can view all the applications that were queried in this queried bucket here. So I can see that there are 2 applications queried, and there's one for a certificate of origin for non-preferential, and there's a certificate of origin for preferential. Before we go into responding to the query for this application, you'd notice that one of the applications has a lock on it. A green lock means that it has been locked by me, and sometimes you may notice a red lock, meaning that it's locked by somebody else. If it's a red locked application and you enter the application, you would not be able to perform any action as it's currently locked by somebody else. If it's green locked, I can enter and exit the application properly in order to unlock the application, or I can click this green lock and I'll have the option to unlock from here. Okay, so now we'll go to responding to a query. So we'll enter this application. Right, so now we can see that the processing status is queried, and we can navigate to the application history section, where we would see an overview of the status of the application. So we would see who would have submitted it, who would have paid for it, well, who would have created the application, who would have submitted it, and who would have paid for it. The status indicates what action this person would have performed. So this person would have completed the application, but then moving it to pending submission. So you can see that exportee has queried the application, and the remarks that they left were to re-upload the invoice. So if we had to re-upload the invoice, we'd go to supporting documents, enter a description, and upload a new file. Then we can click save. And we can scroll all the way down to complete response. Complete response works in the same way as pending submission, where you are just completing the query response for the user with the authorized signatory to sign off and resubmit to exportee. So once I click complete response, the application would move from queried to completed response. So you would notice that the exporter signature section and the terms and conditions section is still required to be completed before it can be resubmitted to exportee. So again, the person who is the authorized signatory must complete this section and so they would sign the application and complete the terms and conditions again to resubmit to exportee. So now the application has moved from completed response to query responded. So that means that the application is now in exportee's hands to process the application. So you can click exit to go back to the dashboard. And now we will move on to uploading a signature to your account. So again, this should be completed by the authorized signatory, as they are the persons whose signature will be attaching to the application. So to do so, you can go into account settings by clicking the drop down, move to signature, click upload signature, and then there's this drop box where you can upload the signature document. And I'm just gonna pick a test signature, click save, and you'll get a notice that the crop signature was saved successfully, and click submit. Then you get a notice on the top saying that the signature was uploaded successfully, and you click back, and the signature is now populated here. So now I just want to go through prepayment applications. And so this is with the drawdown feature. If you have an account with Export TT where you utilize the drawdown, you can create a prepayment application through TTBizlink that will be routed to Export TT for their approval. So to start by doing that, you can click the prepayment button on the left side of on the left menu. And this will take you to the prepayment request page. You can make prepayments to other agencies as well if you apply for that, and then draw down from that balance. So right now we're just going to apply to Export TT. So we'll select our e-service as preferential markets, and the agency populated will be Export TT. You'd also want to take note that you would want to make the prepayment on behalf of the exporting company. If you're not in the correct organization, then the organization that you're logged in with will be populated here. So you just enter the receipt amount you would like to pay for, well, what you have paid for via cash or bank transfer or wire transfer. Enter the amount, enter the receipt number. Enter the date of the receipt. So paid for it on June 1st, and upload a copy of the receipt here. And we'll also notice that my current balance is currently 0. That means I have never made a prepayment application or never got an approved prepayment application on TTBizlink. It also could mean that I have exhausted all the funds from a previously approved prepayment application. So once I submit this application here, it will be routed to Export TT for their approval. Once they approve, my balance would, once they approve the amount that I have entered, so since I've entered $1,000, my balance would go to 1,000. It should be noted that prepayment requests should only be made for lump sum payments. So if you are doing payments one at a time, and if you've paid for one certificate of origin, that's $100, and you've only paid cash $100 and you've got that receipt, then you should not be using the prepayment request, as this is for really lump sum payments. If you're making one-time payments, you can utilize the offline payment mode on the application under payment details. And the last thing that I'd like to go through is managing your organization. So we're just gonna go into account settings and go to organizations. Here you would see any invites from any organizations that you may have, as well as any organizations that you own. So this organization is my personal organization, and this organization is the business that I am the owner of, the organization that I'm owner of. So to manage the organization, I can click this button here, and I would be able to view my members. So I have one member along with myself, who's Tom Broker. And if I would like to change the permissions for Tom Broker, I can click manage, and I can see that the assigned jobs that he has are the applicant broker job, the applicant job, the Chamber of Commerce applicant broker job, and the Chamber of Commerce applicant job. If I'd like to remove the applicant job, which is the submit permission for both Export TT and Chamber of Commerce, I can click assign job and then uncheck the applicant job so that they'll just have the broker jobs alone. Then I'll click assign job, and the jobs have been assigned successfully. So now the assigned jobs are just the broker jobs. So this person, Tom Broker, will only be able to create applications for certificate of origin. I can also invite members to my organization. So I can invite I can click invite member, and then I can type in the email. And then the person would receive an invitation to join my organization. So I'm just going to log in with this email so that you guys can see what it looks like on the invitee's end to accept or decline the invitation. So I'm going to log out and log in with the manufacturer, who is the person that I've sent the invite to. So again, just to reiterate, when you log in, you'll be taken to your default organization's login. So Mason Manufacturer's default organization is their personal account, Mason Manufacturer. After I show you guys how to accept an invitation to an organization, I'll show you how to switch your to change your default organization login. So now we can go to account settings, organizations, and the pending invite will be here. Since LA Exporter sent the invite by entering a specific email, whatever email is entered there, that person would receive an email notification indicating that you've been invited to join an organization. So that's how Mason Manufacturer would be able to log into TTBizlink and enter this section to accept the invitation. So once we click accept, the invitation has been accepted, and then now I become a member of Exporting Company. I can choose to leave the organization here or view the jobs that I have. When a user is added to an organization, they would only have one default job, which is this required job. It is up to the company owner to assign the jobs to the user. So I'm just going to log out quickly, sign back in with LA Exporter. Switch my organization to Exporting Company, since my default is my personal. Go to account settings, then organizations, and under Exporting Company, I can click manage. And now you would see that the Mason, the manufacturer, is a member of my company. As mentioned before, Mason Manufacturer will have the default single job, and therefore will not be able to do any business on my company because I have not yet assigned the jobs. So I click assign jobs and I can decide what I would like the Mason Manufacturer to do. So if I'd like them to do anything else other than CO, I can give them that, or I can give them just to do the applications for Export TT. And click assign and back. And now the assigned jobs for Mason Manufacturer would be the broker job and the applicant job for Export TT. I can also have the option to remove members. So if there are persons who are no longer using the system, or if they've left the organization, you can remove the members here so that they wouldn't be able to conduct any business on TTBizlink. Right. So, and the last thing again, I want to go through is the changing your default. So as you may have noticed, every time that I've logged in with LA Exporter, I'm logged in with my personal organization. So to change my default organization, I can go to account settings, organizations, and when I scroll to the bottom, you can see my default organization is LA Exporter, which is my name. So to change login default, I can click that, and then I would have a list of all the organizations that I belong to that are not my default. So I'd select Exporting Company as my default organization, and then I'll get a success message at the top, so that when I log in, when I log out, and I log back in, I'll be automatically taken to the organization's dashboard.